morning, everybody. Thanks, organizers, for giving me invitation to present the update on the MACE Telescope. So here I'm going to present a brief update about the MACE Camera Telescope, which is basically collaborative effect of high group collaboration, basically high energy camera observatory collaboration within VRC, II, and TFR. So I'll just talk about the MACE, the brief outline is like why the need for the multi-wavelength astronomy, then the atmospheric Cherenkov technique, where this is the ASTROSAT telescope, and then VHE sky, then the VHE continuous monitoring, and then some of the quest for the unexplored VHE band, which is the importance for the MACE and the satellite-based telescope. Then about Hanley MACE telescope, MACE mechanical structure, MACE optical system, MACE camera, and then MACE operation, simulation, and some of the recent results. So basically, as everybody aware that atmosphere, Earth atmosphere only allow the optical and some part of the radio spectrum to see it from the ground. Most of the thing is basically absorbed in the atmosphere. So that's why we have most of the ultraviolet X-rays and high energy basically telescope in the space borne. But there is a basically limitation on the size of detector in space. So to see the low fluxes of very energy gamma ray astronomy, we can use atmosphere as a medium and then detect those gamma rays indirectly. So here the atmosphere comes as act as a detector, which we can detect the gamma rays, and then it acts as a calorimeter also. We can measure the energy of those gamma rays. So that is done by this atmospheric Cherenkov technique, where basically when any gamma ray, very energy gamma ray or cosmic ray enters the atmosphere, it creates the shower of the cascade of the particles. It's called as extensive air shower. These are ultra-realistic particles when moving in the medium with velocity of light in that medium, more than the light, medium emit Cherenkov radiation. Okay, and that Cherenkov radiation is specifically for a few nanoseconds, which can be seen with the big reflector and putting the arrays of PMT or very fast photosensor to image that. So this basically effect was predicted long back in 1904 by Arnold Sommerfeld, that uniformly moving particle will also produce radiation. But somehow 1905 relativity came and people thought that the non-uniform, the radiation is coming out of non-uniform moving particle, right? So it was basically old by people for so many years. And then when 1938, Cherenkov and Vavilov, when they observed this effect, it was basically then explained in Tram and Frank in 1958 that it's Cherenkov radiation is nothing but the uniform moving particle in medium, radiation coming from uniform moving particle in medium. So these are one left side is the gamma ray shower development. That is when gamma ray enters, it basically create the pair production and then create electron positron, and those electron positron further go on through the brainstorm, create gamma rays, and those gamma rays again basically create electron positron, and then that is the kind of cascade it forms. Till one energy called critical energy, then showers start dying because most of the losses are because of ionization and shower died actually. So this similarly, when cosmic ray enters the atmosphere, it also creates the shower of particles, but mostly a hadronic shower. And 90% of these are basically pions. And pions decay to muon, and there are three kinds of pion: neutral, positive, and negative. So neutral pion decays to gamma ray. So there is the one part of the that shower is the electromagnetic part, and then others are because of muons, and the muons decay to electron and neutrino. So that forms the hadronic shower. And you can see that a little bit broader compared to the gamma ray, which is more compact because most of the particles are electron and positron. So they the transfer momentum is less, so the showers are compact. On the contrary, for the cosmic ray or hadron, the shower size are irregular and more broad actually. So this picture shows that that Cherenkov light from these showers. Basically, we can collect on the reflector and we fall onto the focal plane, so it makes this kind of image. And this image basically carries information about the direction of the source as well as the energy of the gamma ray, And from that, basically, when we observe the source, we basically can say about what is the energy, we can get spectrum of the source as well. So those images basically, what are created, we detected in the Cherenkov technique, are characterized called as Hillas using Hillas parameter. So A.M. Hillas basically he used this technique first time when they were working on the Whipple telescope, gamma telescope, which started working in 1968. And the first very energy gamma ray source, Crab nebulae, was detected in 1989. And they used this area of PMT and characterized this image and detected the Crab nebula using this Hillas parameter. So these parameters are nothing but shape and basically about the orientation and the size of the lateral distribution of the shower. From that, basically one can say it is a gamma ray or a cosmic ray shower. So this is typical picture of how the gamma ray image will look like on the camera focal plane, and how the basically background of proton shower will look like on the camera focal plane. For roughly given one same energy gamma ray, if there is a cosmic ray of the same energy, the Cherenkov light output is roughly half. Okay, so if you are having 1 TeV gamma ray, the image it produce, you need 2 TeV basically cosmic ray to create similar Cherenkov light. So these are the present gamma ray telescope. Before that, as I mentioned, that is the second generation telescope, Whipple, basically who pioneered the atmospheric Cherenkov technique and detection of the Crab nebula as the first gamma ray source. And those taken further by the Hegra collaboration with the stereoscopic observation. They use multi-telescope or 4 or 5 or 6 telescope to basically observe the gamma ray sources and increase the sensitivity of the telescope. And then there is the CAT telescope from France with the fine pixel camera, and then the tactic which is at Mount Abu. So they are basically second generation gamma ray telescope, and these are the third generation gamma ray telescope where actually gamma ray astronomy is boomed in this era. When actually 2001 I joined as a graduate student, there were only 5 gamma ray sources. Out of them, 4 were transient sources, and Crab nebula was the only source which was we can detect consistently. Most of them were like Merkin 421, 501, only observed during the flaring state. Otherwise, they were not visible in the gamma ray energy. So, because of the new third generation gamma ray telescope, we have bigger sources now. Total 275 sources are only detected with the Cherenkov telescope. Out of them, 9 these are agents, 6 GRB and 8 pulsars. So, and now you can see there are different types of sources, like there is starburst galaxy, then there is a star forming region, then the globular cluster. Okay, then in supernova remnant there are clarions or shell type supernova remnant. So the variety of sources are increased, and then there are a lot of unidentified sources basically detected by MACE telescope when they did a sky survey. So this is the number roughly above 100 GeV. So if we go towards the Fermi sky, which is also operating in the same energy range, towards the lower part of the energy, the numbers are like high. It's the 5,000 total sources, out of the 3,000 AGN, 200 GRB, and 150 pulsars. To basically reach this gap, we have to have network of more gamma ray telescope like CTA array, and we want to go towards the low energy threshold so that we can pick more sources. So that is the motivation. So other than that, you can see here how the redshift basically dependence of these sources. So with the Fermi, we can go up to 3.5. But the present IST, we can only go up to the 1 redshift of 1. So we want to increase this, instead of go deeper, we want to have to go towards the lower energy part. And that is, until you can see here that this is a simulated thing. Basically, one can see if you are going towards the lower energy, then you are much above the sensitivity to detect these sources. So we want to go towards the lower energy so that we can see more sources and sources towards high redshift. So another thing is about the VHE continuous monitoring. So as this telescope has a different longitude, so if one telescope sees some transient source of flaring activity, it can be continuously monitored because of the time gaps we have. So recently we have observed one of the source NGC 1275. It was triggered by the MAGIC telescope, and then we continued the observation for the next lunation, next after its night here, and then we had some interesting results also. So that I will present. So to go for this low energy, basically important thing is that we have to detect the chunk of light, which is very faint. So if you have a chunk of light, basically is a function of energy of the gamma ray. So the lower the energy of the gamma ray, the intensity of chunk of light is basically faint. So one way is to basically to see the faint like low energy gamma ray, we have to go high in the atmosphere so that the chunk of light is not much absorbed in the atmosphere itself. And another way is that by basically increasing the collection area, and this optical efficiency nothing but the product of mirror reflectivity as well as the quantum efficiency of photo detector. Mostly we use PMT as a photo detector. So the quantum efficiency of PMT, we can if you increase the quantum efficiency of PMT and reflectivity so that on the detector area, we can reduce the threshold energy. And for that, we can the large telescope high altitude is a good option. And that's why we decided to shift MACE Telescope to the Hanley. So Hanley is a 30-degree north and 78-degree east is a known site for this place. So you can see there is the altitude is 4,300 meters above sea level. Less cloudy and rainy days, less sky pollution, and the presence of other objects nearby. There's Himalayan Chandra Telescope and Hagar the gamma ray telescope based on the wavefront sampling technique. Actually, that is there, and this shows the comparison of the other basically gamma ray telescope at present. This is a Veritas at basically 1268 meter, HES 1800 meter. Magic at La Palma 2400 meter, and then MACE is the highest basically high altitude largest gamma ray telescope in terms of, because the second largest is now the LST1 and then HES 2 which is 28 meter diameter. So this I talk about the MACE telescope. So it's basically collaborating from the VRC IIT total member roughly 35, and we have industry partner ECL and MACE. So after the design and development in VRC, the industry like mass production and everything is done at ECI, and the mirrors are basically made that in the MACE company. So this is the overall structure of MACE. It is roughly stands 45 meters from the ground. So drive control and basically wool gear and the basket, and mirrors, and then camera at the focal plane, and then all the associated electronics, starting from the high voltage, then VDN and signal discrimination, digitizer, everything is housed in the camera itself. This is about the mechanical structure of the MACE. So you can see basically it's a 21 meter reflector. Total weight is 180 ton. It has two azimuth and two elevation motors. So one of the two bays here actually, others there are opposite categories. One is used for the drive control, and one is used for basically housing the camera or electronics which is not there in the camera. So, and then pointing accuracy is roughly 1 arc-minute in the 30 km/h wind, and it automatically passes the if winds go there more than 40, and it can basically survive the wind speed of 150 km/h in that region. About the optics, so basically MACE, these are the not glass mirror, these are the basically metallic mirror, and these are made using the aluminum sheets. So the front sheet of the aluminum is 5 mm thick, and then it's basically pasted on the honeycomb structure, and the back sheet is a 1 mm aluminum sheet, and then these are diamond turn mirror with the so we got the curve is all are spherical mirrors. The shape is done with the diamond turning. So each mirror is roughly 0.5 meter in size, and there are 4 mirrors together. We make it as one panel. Okay, so there are like total 356 panels, and those 4 mirrors are on basic panel is on the control mirror actuator, so we can basically align the mirror also electronically, and basically then this mirror are then coated with the silicon dioxide for the stopping the weathering of the mirrors. And since it is basically all are these are spherical mirror and the structure is quasi-parabolic, so we have different graded focal lengths. So we have divided those different focal into 11 regions. So accordingly, the focal length has changed from the center towards the going to periphery of the mirror, telescope basket. This is the present PSF of the telescope is D in 8 in 38 mm, so we well within the size of the PMT. Recently, we had some mirror cleaning and mirror alignment. So these are the pictures from that. And camera is the main heart of the telescope where we the data is collected and all the Cherenkov events are basically recorded. So this camera is basically made of 68 modules basically. So these are kind of modules. So each module houses 16 PMT and all associated electronics, like starting from the high voltage supply, and then there is the voltage divider network, and then there are for 8 channel there is one SDD card which digitize the entire event, and then basically first level trigger also housed in this module. So there are two SDD1 and SDD2 two cards are there for the digitization, and then these PMTs actually you can see that because of there is a dead space between the T's to PMT. So to cover that, we have used this CPC, the Winston cone basically, to get rid of this dead space so that we don't lose light in between. So we are and this this module again have every channel has a 2-level amplification. If there one of the event gets saturated light because of that, so it goes by the another lower gain channel. So that ratio is 11 roughly. So we can still get the we don't lose the event, we still get the event, and we can record it and we can analyze that during the data analysis. So and it also gives the pulse profile and then divided into 31 nanoseconds. So basically we use domino ring sampler DRS chip, and then we sample the Cherenkov pulse, and then basically it comes between the we integrate the pulse from 5th sample to 5 nanosecond to 24 nanosecond. Mostly most of the we align we adjust the delay, and accordingly so the pulse basically falls in that region. So basically we integrate that and get the charge. Or we can either we have 3 different modes for the observation. We can we can either measure the charge, or we can measure the pulse profile and charge and profile together also. So, and this electronics can handle the event rate up to 1 kilohertz. So right now we are operating roughly at 400 hertz. So this can basically manage to handle the rate high rate up to 1 kilohertz. So data actually. So data here basically we divide into 2 parts. One is the telemetry data, which is nothing but for auxiliary data where we monitor the anode current, then voltages, and then single channel rate. These are nothing with the short night light fluctuations. And we have to continuously monitor because those are basically the system health parameter. So we use those parameters to basically select a good quality data if it's basically affected by the hardware malfunction, by some there is a change in anode current or sudden change in the rates. So basically we use that data to select a good time interval for the analysis. And the second is the basically event data. So it is about all the packet information, hardware numbers, event data numbers, the hit pattern basically when the channel is hit by the light, chunk of light, the profile and charge and the time. So we basically call the event when it's basically 4 channels fired together in the short time. Then about the MACE power station at Hanle, since there is no electricity in Hanle, it's in the villages also electricity is only up to 11 o'clock because it is generated by the diesel generator. We have to have the power sources. So we have installed 240 kilowatt solar power station at Hanle with the 72-hour backup with 2 diesel generator sets. This is the we have 2 controllers we can control from telescope from the Hanle as well as the Mumbai. So this is the control room in Hanle, and this is in the Mumbai. So we can do remote observation also. So this is the basically MACE telescope operation time for this year, entered from January 2022 to December 31st, 2022. So, so 20% time is gone into the maintenance, 15% is the mirror cleaning and alignment time, 10% was the some bad weather time, and 15% again is basically pointing data. And the 40% time we have observed. So out of that 40% time, we can see that most of the time we have spent observing the AGNs, and then 40% time on the Crab Nebula and some supernova candidate. So this is basically this way.
Do you mean by pointing data?
So what happened actually, we still don't have the pointing model of the telescope. So from every observation, we take the similar stars in the similar declination range to, and then build a model and then use it in data analysis. So as a MACE operation, there is another one important thing that we want to trigger the system by the genuine event. The genuine event, I mean by the Cherenkov light produced by the cosmic ray showers or gamma ray shower. For that, we have to do something called the bias curve, basically, which is basically we change the different threshold and then see at what threshold we are basically not triggered by this steeply falling light of night sky, which has the slope of roughly -7. So this is the light of night sky, which is just falling at the slope of -7. And this is basically the cosmic ray, which is -1.7. So since most of the time we are get triggered by cosmic ray, so this slope of this other line which match with the cosmic ray spectrum is alpha is -1.7, and we want to basically find the threshold where we are rarely get triggered by the light of night sky, mostly genuinely by the Cherenkov light produced by the cosmic ray. So this we have to do optimization. We have to take a different run and a different region and with the different zenith angle. So right now at the MACE observation since January 2022, we are using the threshold of 90 millivolt, which is roughly 90 millivolts for all observation. And what other thing we have to monitor is basically the shape anode current, because anode current is the directly deals over the light fluctuation in that sky. So sometimes suddenly there are lights from the vehicle or some other things, so anode current shoots high. So we have to keep monitoring that. So these are some of the how does our average anode current looks when we are taking the sky runs. So there are some time where it shoot anode current shoot out. So similarly, when the lid was closed, basically covered, so we don't no very less anode current. So and then we also keep on monitoring this other parameters. These are the basically, as I mentioned, there are this our module has basically each module has a 5. So each module there are 5 temperature sensor like SDD1 left and right and SDD2 left and right, and there is one power supply. So here basically it is shown the typical temperature when it is we are not at the beginning of the observation. So temperature, if you are low below 4 degrees or something, we preheat the camera, means we keep the camera on for 1 or 2 hours. When the temperature goes about 5 or 10, then we basically operate, because we have seen that if you are operating below 4 or 5, 3 degree temperature, the camera behavior is not appropriate at the low temperature. So we basically do the preheating and take the observation. This is the typical gamma ray data. Actually, this is GIF file. Unfortunately, I cannot play it is on that, but there can would have seen how the images looks in the raw, clean, and the pattern. This is since actually our method is an indirect method, it's not direct detection of gamma rays. So we have to rely on simulation to basically detect the signal. So because there is no 100% detection of cosmic ray or neither 100% retention of gamma ray, so we have to do the statistical analysis to basically get the signal. So these are some of the parameter distribution of the Cherenkov image or HELAS using HELAS parameter, and from that we can basically segregate gamma rays from the overwhelming cosmic ray events.
Take 1 minute.
I'll go quickly. So this is the expected sensitivity of the MACE telescope with the different zenith angle. So we can basically detect 2% of Crab nebula flux in 50 hours of observation, but this is done without folding the electronics. So we have new numbers will come, and roughly our energy threshold is 40 GeV in zenith range of 20 to 40 degree. Our energy resolution is at poor at poor at 40 GeV, but then as you go towards higher energy, it is about 20%. Then you can see the angular resolution again poor at when it's at 40 GeV, 0.2 degree, but then if you go to 1 TeV, it's 0.07 degree. And these are some of the results. So this is the Crab nebula, which is our standard candle. So this is the result from the 1st March data of Crab nebula. So you can see basically what we are seeing. This is the distribution of that alpha parameter, which I have shown in. So since we are doing the pointed observation, if the source is emitting, then we should see excess in the first 2 or 3 beams, depending on the telescope and the setup. So these are this is the where we are looking for the signal region, and this is the kind of background region. So if you basically subtract this background from this region, whatever we get is the excess, and if from that excess, we can basically calculate what is the significance of detection. For this, basically, in 39 minutes, we have a 6.15 sigma from the Crab nebula, and these are basically, since we had simulation ready for this setup, so there are use the simulation card, which is nothing but the hadronic score, which is hadron score H score. So is 0.1, so that there is a 10% of chance is by hadron and 90% chance that these events are basically gamma ray light events. So like that, and then. Recently, we got internal alert from the Veritas and other VHG network about the NGC 1275. It's a radio galaxy which was flaring. So MAGIC and LST observers, and when we continue observation, so they detected the basically increasing trend of the NGC, and then when we saw it, it was basically falling down from roughly 80% of Crab flux to 30% of Crab. So this is another alpha plot for the NGC 1275. And this is still preliminary because we don't still have the simulation for this data, because this is taken in September. We had a change in the way our PS with count data and the mirror reflected rate change. We have folded in those in the simulation. So we have not applied the basically cuts using the simulation data. These are just the dynamic cuts. We have used it. So, but we are working on the further analysis as well as the spectrum and things from the NGC. Yes.
Thank you very much. A lot of efforts actually, so that's great. Any questions?
Why do you use photomultipliers? Why not CCDs or something?
So actually time response of CCD is not that short. So it means bigger, longer integration time. So now there are basically this we have hybrid silicon like PMTs, where they are using, some fact is using that. Basically, this is another monitoring telescope in La Palma. They are using, and we are testing some of them actually developed by TFR and with our mount up telescope. So maybe next time we can think about because there we don't have to give high voltage like HV 1000 volt or something. But there are some other problem with that, and we have to basically find a solution for that. It's higher basically there, yeah. But then we still now none of the telescope using except the Schwarzschild telescope at Veritas site in Arizona. They have using the silicon PMP first time.
That's the last question.
You talked about this different kind of events like gamma ray or hadronic events, and also what are the different signatures of them. And accordingly, some algorithm that separates out strength. But I'm curious to know whether these algorithms are also applicable to the coincident events.
Coincident events.
Both hadronic and gamma ray happening at the same.
So see, actually, so most of the time we detect cosmic ray only, because see, our rate whatever we have is like set 400 hertz. So those are the cosmic rate, and they changes with the zenith angle. So they follow some trend in zenith angle. Out of them, because there are for every one gamma ray, there are 1,000 cosmic ray coming to at the same time. So mostly we are detecting cosmic ray, but there is one gamma ray, so we have to segregate that gamma ray. So it is happening in the same time. So only way is to basically use this image parameterization for the cosmic ray and gamma ray event to segregate out. There is nothing we can do it in online.
Long live India and France friendship.